Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'll give folks maybe a minute to join. If there's a few people that'll be starting to trickle in here shortly, I hope. If not, then we'll, you know what, it's just a half-an-hour one, so we'll get started because these are all recorded afterwards. So yeah, we'll kick this one kicked off. So good morning. My name is Kevin Grover. I lead the customer success team here at Looq. There's now our next webinar series that we're diving into here. This the one's going to be about sharing data from the Looq platform, and we will have more upcoming webinars in the future, and you can watch our past webinars. So we'll send out some more information on that at the end. But for those of you that aren't familiar with the Looq platform, we'll just do a quick overview of it here as well. We are a hardware and software company. We build a product called the QCam, which is a handheld photogrammetric-based device. It's a multi-camera system that has 4 camera lenses synced with a survey-grade GNSS device. So onboard AI processing for doing the collection. Then we have our QAI product, which basically does all of the photogrammetric alignment, the GPS processing, and create all the deliverables. So it's kind of the brains behind the operation. And then we've got our product called QApp, which is our web application. So we host, share, and also process all of the data in the cloud. And this is what we're going to be going over today, is some of the sharing, download formats. It's not a lot to cover in just pure sharing. So we're going to go through a product that we did, or a data set that we did, and all the export formats and how to share those all out kind of to end users as well. So perfect. So as far as the platform itself, being a handheld platform, we do result in high accuracy survey data sets in the end. It does allow you to do post-process kinematic corrections. We are not RTK based, but we are PPK based, which means we can run either an auto or a local based solution. In this case, the example, we're running a local base. You can set up at a known point, and all of that can be used in the data processing for our data application. It does allow you to capture up to 30 minutes with the handheld device. You can do larger areas by doing multiple captures. It allows you to fit things to control, but it allows us to do things like topographic surveys, site surveys, ALTA surveys. Overhead power is one of the big industries that we're in as well. And this allows you to basically collect data as quickly with this handheld lightweight product that only weighs about 4 pounds. As far as the office workflow, we are cloud-based in our data processing, so the data can be uploaded either directly from the QCam device itself or in our web application. And this allows you to basically add it to a project site, create georeferenced point cloud data, ortho imagery within our platform. And this is where we've got the different ways of exporting the data formats out of it, which we'll be going into a little bit more detail here as well. So we'll talk about all the export formats and then how to share those out. So first off, I figured I'd kind of just go through a little bit of a product here. This is actually one of the accuracy case studies that we're working on here as well for kind of a survey type of a project. And then again, we'll use this for some of the data sets. So this is a commercial site survey kind of for our friends at McElhaney up in Canada here. I'm based out of Edmonton myself. It was a 2-acre capture that was done. It's a single capture was collected on this site for about a 19-minute collection, and it's about 2 acres of data collection for this capture site. With the walking pattern that we're looking at doing, we do look at having again, we like to think it as a ground-based drone in a lot of respects, that we're basically doing back and forth captures. We want to make sure you're getting all the overlap on site. We have a little bit of an S pattern for the capture we want to look at doing, just to basically improve the quality of the residuals and the results in the end. So the lawnmower pattern, you circle around control, circle around objects you care about, and this will basically allow you to get more of this complete 3D site coverage. But for a site like this, being external building, parking lot, adjacent roadways, we can collect a lot of data in a short period of time. So in a 19-minute capture, compared to doing this via traditional survey mechanisms, it ends up being a really, really efficient device. When we really only have to place a local base station and then a couple of control points to basically fit it to that data with a bit more precision, as well as then we do offer different ways of adding check shots and things in just for our surveyor community to basically make sure that you're generating a data set that's going to give you the accuracies and tolerances you're after. With this, is we don't require GNSS higher quality GNSS data all the time. You see the map in the middle there. We had about 57% on this one as having like really high GNSS positioning, but between it and our photogrammetric processing, we're able to generate this really relatively accurate data set. And then we basically use the ground control to really hinge that down and fit it in the real world based on your project requirements. So for this one specifically, this is just kind of the point cloud that's derived out of it. Control points that are used could be painted targets or nails, and this allows us to generate, and using our ATC, our line to control workflow, we achieved in this project about a 13 millimeter, so half an inch 3D RMSE error for this entire data set. So the nice thing about it is, again, we're fast capture, but we do fit in with traditional survey workflows to do collections like this that work really, really well. So the benefit of this is where we do derive a number of different data products that will all lead us into the sharing part of it that we'll kind of focus on a little bit. So as far as the downloadable formats, we'll start there. All of the files, we work in very agnostic formats. We don't have any proprietary formats that we do with our data. We want people to use these data products in really any third-party package that you're working with. So specifically with this project, when I did say 15 minutes, this is actually a 90-minute capture. So but benefits of what the point cloud that we do, being image-based, it does allow us to add kind of this AI functionality into what our workflow works on, is we do have things like automatic moving object filters for people, vehicles, anything that is moving on the product, or on the project site. So we're able to basically mask out people from a privacy perspective, but also from a data cleanliness perspective, as well as people or vehicles driving around on adjacent roadways or even inside the project site. We're able to filter those things out using our image classification. The export format we do is an LAZ file format that can be shared out as well. It is a colorized RGB point cloud. So we do have color only because we're photogrammetric. We don't have intensity data. But the benefit of that is that we do have some very rich coloring that comes with all of our data out of the box. We do project in local site coordinate systems as well. So this works really, really well. But the nice thing about it is we are almost hitting the terrestrial scan data accuracies. Not quite. We're lacking some of it for fine features and things, but for curb lines, again, like the topographic work, trees, the edge of buildings, we're basically hitting a very tight tolerance that is kind of within that survey quality that's being after. And the nice thing about it is, in this case, about a 20-minute capture is about a 1.5 to 2 gig point cloud file. So we're working with file sizes that aren't traditionally very large compared to other file reality capture devices in the market. Because of the filtering that we do, this is one of the other things that, again, from the cleanliness part of iStart, is we do a lot of extraction for automating different features inside the data set, and we use this for the noise removal, privacy filtering, and also our classification, which we'll talk about next year too. So just a few examples here, how being image-based, it allows us to classify objects relatively cleanly, that we can do ground very, very well. We do sky, power lines, power poles, buildings, and again, other features we're able to extract in the data set. This takes us into the classification side of things that can also be shared as well, as we do generate a fully classified data format that is compatible with the, if anybody's familiar with the ASPRS classifications, as we do follow the same classification standards that they do. So for an example like this is where we do things like ground, vegetation, buildings, but we also take it a step further to go into the power poles, lamp standards. You can see kind of even the pink up on the light here. We've got like lamp standards classified. So separately from just poles, we do kind of some of the objects on the poles. And then we do things like sidewalks and drive aisles. So in this case, you see that the sidewalks are actually classified in the dark blue, whereas the parking area is classified in like a light blue. So again, these are all formats that can be shared out in the download format export, as well as can be shared in the viewer, which all of these things have the functionality in the viewer, which I'll do a bit of a live demo in a minute. The ortho image is the other format that we generate that can also be shared out. So we do basically create, being image based on the ground, we generate a ground classified surface that we basically filter out all above ground features, and then we project the imagery onto that to generate a very realistic ground model that we generate this ortho. So similar, people have been using like drone capture for aerial, but the benefit of ours is we actually clean out all of the above ground objects. You don't see things in the data set like here. There's a street light here. There's some, some bollards and kind of signage. They're not visible in the image because we are projecting data kind of at that oblique area rather than like nadir imagery from a drone. So they are projected. They're a GeoTIFF file that can be shared out and also viewed within our platform. But the downloadable formats is a GeoTIFF, and we've got 3 different formats. We have an uncompressed GeoTIFF, and then we have 2, a 1 centimeter, 3 centimeter resolution one, just to kind of help with some data formats in some products like CAD that can't handle an uncompressed GeoTIFF as well. It's still a GeoTIFF, but it's got JPEG compression just to kind of keep it smaller. But it's very precise, these data sets we're able to share and export out. The other one's the panoramic imagery. Because we do collect these images at ground level, we do create, it's a 270-degree field of view image we create from the device, which is a 4-camera system. So this is the JPEG that can be shared out as well. We do have a pose file that comes into it as well. We're working on a full pose file that will be coming soon. That will allow you to get not only the location of the imagery, but all location and the full pose for the orientation. And then we'll use that in some third-party products like into Topo.tbc and Mach 9, some of the other products that are basically leveraging our imagery for doing other extractions. So right now it is just JPEGs that are visible on our platform, and you can download those, but we're working on the pose info to allow you to extend the applications with it. But the last one is the track file. We also export as well. This is just a GeoJSON, which is basically the location of all of the images. This is where it is a lat long ellipsoid height export. We do have a CSV that's also exported in the projected coordinate system in the panoramic imagery, but we do have a GeoJSON since there's some folks that bring it into maybe the Esri environment, some other GIS applications that support GeoJSON. And the last thing that we also offer is a thinned point cloud. So we know that a lot of people don't like point clouds. I've got a love-hate with them. They're great for certain things, but we also have a lot of data that is challenging to use. So we do generate one. This is typically more for our power infrastructure. So you see here, maybe hard to see that we did actually filter a lot of data at ground level. So we also have an LAZ file that can be exported that is about 10% of the resolution. So it keeps and preserves a lot of the features for where it matters, and then we filter out at ground level specifically to filter down to that about 10th of the file size. So instead of a 2 gig point cloud, it'll be a 200 megabyte point cloud that people can work with. It's still colorized and still classified, but these are all some really nice ones that can be exported as well. So I do have some slides to web sharing, but I always love live demos, and we're not afraid to, of course, demo our product here as well. So I will share my screen here, and then we'll kind of walk through some of the different ways that these can be shared out. And I'll walk you through some of the ways to actually do that. So this is the example product that we're looking at here as well. So in the web application, all of these things can be downloaded. These can be done on the Files tab. So from the file side, we can actually go into each individual data format, and this is where you can download the LAZ, the ortho, the panoramic imagery, the track, and the thin point cloud that we offer as well. We do have a PPK report I'll kind of throw in there as well. This is the GNSS processing report that we do through our automated processing. So again, it gives you some more metrics around the GNSS accuracies and things we're basically getting as we basically do that processing through our engine. So this is the first way of kind of sharing, is that you do, if you have an account to access, you can access all this data directly within the web application. So they can all be downloaded locally and worked with there. Within the project itself is, if I go to this one here, this is where, again, if you click on any of the images, they can all be visible in the data set. You can toggle on the ortho photo. So rather than having to download, this is really where the web application really has its advantages for people that don't have, again, maybe they're not used to working with this 3D point cloud, 3D imagery, or 2D imagery data in a GIS or survey product. You can share it out in the web environment just for kind of simple ease of use. The 3D view, if we dump into, this is now where we get into the point cloud side of things. So again, it streams relatively quickly. I'm just going to change my optimization here. It streams very quickly in a browser. It is a level of detail infrastructure. So as you start moving and navigating around and zooming in, you'll start seeing that it's going to start loading and displaying more data. So the nice thing is this could be done on really any desktop environment. So laptop, desktop, all you need is an internet connection, and you don't need a very beefy machine to basically do this either, which is great. This is where you can navigate around in 3D, and this is really where we can see the quality and the fidelity of the data that we're doing. With this, there's a bunch of different settings within the viewer. This is also where you can view the classification. So if people are interested in seeing what's being classified in the data set, you can basically see all of these and then toggle the different things off. So I could turn off my ground classes. I know I've got my road surface, which is a light blue. So really, we're just trying to make it easy for that first level of extraction that people are going to be doing, whether it's in our product or within the third-party application as well. So these are some nice features within our viewer as well. Now, as we get into the sharing side, of course, we are a secure web application. We do want to make sure that people only have access to data that you want them to have access to. So the first thing we can do is we can actually share at the site level. So in this case, I've got 4 captures at the site level, but I can now go into my sharing and I can actually go into start inviting users. So I can invite users here by email, and I could choose a couple of different roles. I'll share the different role structure with you as well, but we basically keep it simple. We have administrators, which is really the ones you trust to hold the keys to everything within your platform. So they can edit things, they can delete things, manage all projects. So administrator is really kind of the really superpower user. With a manager role as well, which is more kind of at the project level, it allows you to create sites, edit sites, share them with other users. So that's one of the nice features of having that role kind of within the application as well. In this case, I'm an administrator for this account, which is where I have the permissions to share these things out. But if I'm doing this at a site level, this is where we do limit just the sharing at the site level. We have a user role, which is really meant for people that maybe it's an engineer you're sharing to, or even one of your survey teams that it's going to be doing some extraction. This gives you access to, as a user, where you can see the data on the site, you can download the data products, you can run our Q survey tool, which allows you to extract in browser and export some of the data out as a CSV file. If you may only want to share it out as a viewer, this might be for a client or maybe one of your senior managers that you don't want them to have their hands in the pot. You can give them access to a view only. We also have the option to allow file downloads. So if you want to have somebody with pure view access, you can set them as a viewer. But if you want them to be able to download the data as well, we allow that functionality to basically add that into there. So we can add this into here by email, and that's how you can share things at the individual site level. As an organization owner, this is where we also have kind of more of the powerful platform that you only have access to the organization tab if you're given this access as either a manager or as an administrator. So if we share it out to any users, they don't really get to see any of this other functionality. This is where we can now go into the user tab, and you can invite users, and we got a few more options at the user level. So I can still do things by email. I can share out now, I have the option for other roles. So this is where power user, manager is kind of the people that are going to be looking after projects, and the user and viewer role as well. The nice thing about doing this is if I choose administrator, it means they have access to everything. So we basically get rid of the option to share at the individual project level because they can see everything. As soon as I turn them into a manager, this is where now you have the option to share manager or lower. You have the option to share it to all sites, or you can choose individual sites where you want to add to. So maybe I only want to share individual ones and give people specific roles. I can do that here as well. And I can do that really at any role. So if I do that as a user role, I can now invite them to, multiple project sites and give them that user level access. So the nice thing is you can only give the rights to people that you care about, and also give them the rights for the permissions that you want to from that level as well. So that's kind of the nice part, is it's very easy for doing multiple sites or sharing individual ones. We're working on improving this as part of our Web V2 that we're building out here right now as well, where we're going to have some improved file sharing for users, groups of users, collections of sites. We're just going to be improving it now that people are growing and adopting our project in more detail, or our product in more detail. We're going to be adding more sharing functionality as we go. We're also going to be looking at doing more of it like a no user account sharing that might allow you to embed things kind of in a web application or an iframe to kind of build into a site. So currently, the way that we share is by user access now. Just allows you the safe, secure way of sharing things here. So that can be done by sharing individual sites. Then once they are shared, this is also now where you can edit and you can start changing the account access for people within it as well. So I can start customizing things after the fact. So if I had a remote revoke sharing with a site, or revoke kind of just sharing with the user, I can now fully remove people from this side too. So that's the benefit of our platform here right now, is you've got a lot of options of how we want to share data from that level. Stop sharing here, and I'm just going to bounce back to my presentation. I've got a couple of slides to close off here. That's pretty much where we're at for the webinar today, and we'll open it up to some questions here in a moment, but I will just pass this, jump back to where we were. And Revit, I'm going to thank everyone for joining, but I'm going to, maybe Teresa, if you wanted to pop in and talk about the next slide, or I'm happy to if you want,
Sure.
if you don't. Perfect.
Yeah, so we are moving to a monthly cadence on the webinar. We were doing it every couple of weeks, but we will still be doing it on Tuesdays. Our next one is on April 14th, and we'll be focused on working with Looq for manhole and vault capture, and look forward to that one. Hopefully we'll be able to share a user story with you during that session as well. So that one's coming up. I will add to the chat right now the link so that you can go ahead and register for that, so you don't have to think about it again. Just hop in there and register. It is a Teams registration, so you will need to register for each event that you want to attend. You can watch past episodes as well, and I added that link in the chat. The past episodes are posted on YouTube, so that's the link to the YouTube playlist where you can see those past episodes. And then just a quick reminder that the user conference is coming up first week of May, fast approaching. We still do have a short period of time here where you can get a little bit of a discount on registration through the end of this month. So by March 31st, if you register, you'll still get a bit of a discount on those registrations. If you are a brand new customer, reach out to your contact at Looq, and we can help you with that registration. Just let us know. And if you have any questions, I'm always happy to answer as well. So thanks for joining the webinar and appreciate it, and hand it back over to Kevin now.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Teresa. So yeah, that wraps things up. I know that we try to keep these things pretty short and sweet, but we wanted to have a few things here. So if anybody does have any follow-up questions, we'll be on for a couple of more minutes. So feel free, you can ask that in the chat or the Q&A, or I think we can even unmute people if you want to raise your hand, if you want to actually ask a question in person.
If you raise your hand, I'll try to unmute you.
Oh, perfect. So I got one coming through the text here. So do users have to create accounts to participate or collaborate in a specific project? So yes, every user that gets invited will basically have to create an account. So you'll get an email. Once you add an email user to the a site or to the organization, they will get an email from us to basically configure their account, and that will allow them to set up their account. All they do is basically enter in a password, and that will allow them to log into their application, and they'll have access to whatever's been shared with them within the organization that you invite them to. So whether that's internal to your company, or if you invite a client, it basically will be invited based on user email access, but they just have to do a simple password create to set up their project. And then once it's set up is where you can change that user role. You can revoke it down the road. You can give them more rights to different projects. So it allows you to do it that way. And we do that way just purely just to have it secure, that you know who's accessing all of the data within your account.
And Kevin, a quick follow-up to that. Sorry, just easier to,
For sure.
to talk.
Yeah, no worries.
If you have, if my account or my organization is sharing projects with a specific, let's just say a specific contractor, and someone else has projects that are not in my organization or in a totally different company, do they have to set up multiple instances, or is their account able to be compartmentalized to different end users?
Yeah, so right now we are, I would say we're limited. We do have, you can be part of one organization. We do have ways to share data sets between, say, organizations. If you had an org and like another customer had, or another customer had an organization that you can share between. It's a little bit, we have to kind of help configure that kind of on the back end, but we are working on having under our next version of Web V2 that's going to be released hopefully, well, it'll be in Q2 this year. It's going to have the ability to basically share, and you can toggle between organizations. So if you do have a user that is part of multiple organizations, you would toggle between that org, and then you would basically have different user rights based on the organization. So everything is organization based so that you have full control over doing that on your end.
am I able to, in a project, am I able to, I guess, quarantine a portion of a project where maybe they see, maybe I'm scanning the inside and outside of a project. I only want them to, like, maybe it's a civil contractor. I only want to see the
Part of it.
outside. Am I able to compartmentalize that?
At this time, you can't. No, right now it is basically
Okay.
just shared at the site level. In our next version, yeah, we're really working on improving that and kind of moving beyond where we're at now. So that'll be a feature kind of down the road as well.
That's helpful. Thank you.
No worries. See, Kent, you've got an email. What automated data sharing is available? API, EDI, and assume the role has access to data. So we don't have an open API that we make public at the moment. We do have a few customers, a few of our larger firms, and we do have some scripting we can do on the back end that, again, it's like doing an API, but we can actually copy data directly to kind of a local, your local AWS S3 bucket. So we have some options on that side, but that's something we can definitely kind of discuss if you needed more integrations there. Because right now it is based on site and project download, and we could do it at this side. But sorry, Kent, do you have a follow-up question? Oh no, this sums up. Perfect. Yeah, we're working on some other options. We will look at having an API. Yeah.
So the API is really more designated by customer base. So if we were your customer, it would be, hey, we're going to design a specific API or EDI key to access that information.
Ideally, yeah, exactly. Like I said,
Okay.
These are things we're building out. Currently, we'd have a bit more of a manual kind of scripting that we can run on the back end to kind of copy it over, not manually, but again, more regular script to do it now. But down the road, yeah, we definitely will have some other sharing capabilities within the platform.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Anyone else on the call? Perfect. Well, silence is acceptance, I guess. So we'll wrap this one up a couple minutes early and give you a few minutes back. But I appreciate the time on the call and a few questions here, and look forward to seeing you again in a month. So thanks, everyone. And this will be up posted right away. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kevin.